Hey, Chandler Bolt here, and in this video, I want to talk about the 3 steps to running a great company offsite. Now, first off, what's a company offsite? A company offsite is where you gather as a team offsite, so away from where you usually work. And this might be the leadership team, or this might be the entire team as a whole, and you gather there to do strategic thinking. Now, this can happen once per quarter. That's what a lot of teams do. For us, because we're virtual at Self-Publishing School, we do it bi-quarterly, so twice a year. We do it in person, and the other quarters we do virtual offsite. So we do virtual offsite twice a year, in-person offsite twice a year. So that's kind of the cadence for those offsites. Now, the purpose of this offsite is to do 4 things. Number 1, the purpose is to connect as a team. There's no greater mechanism for building relationships than a company offsite. And I truly believe that. So when you get together in person, it just makes things real. Now, especially if you're growing a virtual team, there's nothing like face-to-face time. So I encourage people on our team to connect individually, talk to people that they wouldn't normally talk to. Now, we actually pair things up in a way that encourage cross-team collaboration. Because what you want to think about is all these different teams in your company. Maybe you've got sales team, marketing team, product team, operations, and finance. A lot of times they don't talk to each other. So we want to build cross-team relationships through these offsites. Now, one of the ways that we do this is we have everyone stay in the same house or in the same Airbnb. Now, this is really helpful because if you just have a bunch of different hotel rooms, and I've been very adamant about this, there's just not much room for that. You know, you're making breakfast together, you're having those one-off conversations in the living room, we've got a fireplace, we've got a hot tub, we've got a pool, or whatever the place has. And so we've continued to do this as we've grown. Now, this is becoming harder and harder. I think we've got about 28 full-time employees now, so it's very hard to find a house that houses 28 people. We've still been able to do it, and we're having to go to resorts and like kind of different things like that to make it work, but that's how important I think it is to have everyone in one place, and this is just a big way to connect as a team. And I'll talk a little bit later about other ways we do team building at these offsites. Number 2, the purpose is to determine 3 to 5 key thrusts or capabilities. So think of these as rocks for the next 3 months or the next year. Now, depending on when the offsite is, most offsites are quarterly, so you're doing a plan for the next 3 months. And so that's what you'll do. And that is kind of the number 1 thing from that offsite. So we follow scaling up. And so we have the 1-page strategic plan. That is kind of like the definition for success, is filling out that thing. And a big part of that thing is coming up with 3 to 5 key thrusts or key initiatives over the next quarter. Or if it's the end of the year planning, we're coming up with the 3 to 5 key thrusts or initiatives for the following year. Now, the third thing is to come up with a critical number and a theme. Now, again, this goes back to the 1-page strategic plan, but this is probably the most important thing to get people focused over the next 90 days. So I've got a different video on creating quarterly themes and critical numbers. So we have 1 critical number for the quarter. It's kind of the overarching mission, and we have a theme around that brings it to life, that makes it fun, all those things. But we need 3 to 5 key thrusts or rocks or goals or whatever you want to call them, and then 1 critical number and 1 theme so that we're all focused over the next 3 months on that thing. And then purpose number 4, this is in line with that, is getting alignment for everyone on the team with how what they're doing contributes to the overarching goals. Now, the way that we do this is we do the company rocks, then we have people do their individual rocks, then we have them do their individual goal setting for the next month, for the month after that, and the month after that. So they do monthly goals. I've got a goal setting video on how I set goals and how we set goals at Self-Publishing School. Definitely recommend that you check that out. But that's kind of how we do the quarterly goal and then break that down into the monthly goal. But the most important thing is that you take these monthly goals and you apply them to the individual, so they understand how what they're doing connects to the company's overall goals. So now you're clear on the overall purpose and objectives for the offsite. How do you run it? Well, the first thing you want to think about is the length and the structure. Now, this will kind of ebb and flow depending on your team, the type of people on your team, things like that. Typically, what we've always done at Self-Publishing School is we start on a Wednesday and then we go through a Sunday morning. So people will fly in on a Wednesday morning. They'll take the first flight out on Wednesday. They'll get in and maybe we'll have some afternoon meetings on the afternoon for Wednesday night. Then we have a full meeting day on Thursday. So we go 8 a.m. to 5 or so. And then Friday we go 8 a.m. to 5 with meetings. Saturday's always our fun day. And then people take the first flight out on Sunday. Now, this will ebb and flow again, depending on your team. If a ton of people on your team have kids, then they might want to make it during the week. For us, it's just kind of, it's what we do. And so they know that, hey, they're going to be away for at least part of the weekend. And so that's just what we do. But we try to accommodate that by doing the first fly out on Sunday morning. So at a minimum, they're getting back, middle of the day, maybe early afternoon, maybe as early as that morning, and they're able to get back to their kids, get back to their family, all those things. But that's the way that we structure it. And then as you develop a leadership team, this is really important. We have leadership meetings before the full team offsite. So we've now started coming in. We'll have the leadership team come in either Monday night or first thing Tuesday morning. Then we have a half day or a full day on Tuesday, and we have a half day on a Wednesday while we're waiting for people to come in. And then we kick things off full team Wednesday night, and then we roll into the full process. Now that's what we do. That's the overall structure for the meeting blocks. Now inside those meeting blocks, it kind of goes like this. So I'm going to include a basic template for running an offsite, and you can kind of clone that and work from that. But it kind of works like this. So the first half of the first day is all about mission, purpose, core values. We've been doing award ceremonies. So that's been working really, really well. So we do award ceremonies, and we'll give out awards based on core values, based on excellent performance, all those things kind of the first night. And that's a lot of fun. We created what we call the Self-Publishing School Ambassador Program. Now this is a really great way, and I've got another video on referrals and how to get employees to refer other people to work at your company. But we know that one of the fastest ways that we're going to grow as a team is we got to have great people. And guess what? Great people know other great people. So we've created this ambassador program where we pay people $1,000 if we hire someone that they recommend and they stick on for 90 days. But then also we've now kind of gamified it, and we have this Yeti mug that's a custom carved mug that says Self-Publishing School Ambassador. And so they get that when they refer one person to Self-Publishing School. And then the next tier is once they've referred 3 employees to work at Self-Publishing School, they get this super cool Self-Publishing School backpack. It's really awesome. And so kind of now we've started giving those things out. So we're encouraging and embedding things that help the company grow, things that help the individuals in the company grow, right? So we're embedding referrals, we're embedding the core values, the mission, the purpose, all those things. And that's the purpose of the beginning of the offsite, is to realign and regain alignment. And then day number 2, or really the first full day, that's when we go into the big picture. So I always start with a how did you do it conversation. So we talk about wins from the last quarter. How did you do it? Then we talk about what didn't work so well. So what are some things that we can improve on? We start to review some of the things that people did in prep for the meeting. So a start, stop, keep, Rockefeller habits, a bunch of different things like that. So this is all the big picture. We even have people do TED style presentations where they'll do 12-minute presentation on their department and the future of marketing, or the future of sales at Self-Publishing School. And they'll recap last quarter, what's the next quarter or the next year look like. So we're kind of getting people up to speed, and then we're doing brainstorming, strategy, all that stuff. And then the very last day, this goes down into the 90-day game plan. So day 2, we're kind of starting to brainstorm those 3 to 5 key thrusts and brainstorm the critical number, all that stuff. The morning of the last day, that's all about finalizing the key thrusts and initiatives, finalizing the critical number, finalizing the theme. We start to work into what are your individual goals, your monthly goals, things like that. And then very important, everyone has individual goals for the month that we're in or the month that we're starting. And then everyone has a top 3 for the next week. One of the mistakes we made early on is like all these airy-fairy, kind of big goals. And it was like, okay, cool. Well, I don't know what to do next week. We lacked on that kind of practical next steps. So now that's one of the last things that we do. As we always say, hey, what are the top 3 things that you need to do over the next week? And we get that done. Now, a couple other tips around these meeting blocks, a couple things that I like to do is have implementation time. So we usually have 60 to 90 minutes of implementation time at the end of every day so that we can start making meaningful progress on this thing. So that's very, very important. Another thing that we do is we treat this like any meeting that we would have. So I've got another video on how we run meetings at Self-Publishing School. Highly recommend that you check that out. But every meeting has 3 roles. It has a facilitator, it has a timekeeper, and it has a task catcher. So someone who facilitates the session. And so each session, we've got kind of the agenda. It's all mapped out in a Google Doc ahead of time. Each session is led by someone. We've got someone keeping time, and then we've got someone catching tasks. So catching the tasks and the things that need to get done and what we call who, what, wins, and Asana, our project management software. And then in that implementation time, we're able to actually jam and get some stuff done. And then at the end of the offsite, if you got, hey, these are my top 3 things next week, well, guess what? You can go and start using some of that implementation time to get things done. Couple of final things that we like to do is do jam sessions. So we call it jam sessions. So this is kind of a lot of times cross-functionally, what's a problem that you have that you want to solve, and that if we solve this working together, because we're all here, right? So we could do something in the span of 30 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour that would take us weeks to do as a virtual team. So we'll bring teams in and we'll kind of rotate these jam sessions, and we'll say, hey, we need to solve this thing, sales team, get with student success. We need to solve this other thing, marketing team, get with the product team, and then break. So there's kind of these cross-team breakout sessions or jam sessions. Now, last thing I recommend is we love to do these big dream or moonshot dinners where we'll take some things that, hey, what are things we wouldn't usually think about, we wouldn't usually strategize on, and let's take dinner, so the dinner hour, and kind of just brainstorm. Let's dream for a little bit and think about what this could be, where this could go, things like that. And another bonus tip, I learned this from a friend of mine he runs an awesome nonprofit called News Story. His name's Brett Hagler, just one of the most well-run nonprofits I've ever seen in my life. It's really unreal. And one of the things he said that they do, which I really like, we haven't done this yet, but it's kind of a Shark Tank style pitches on things that need funding in the company. And so you have kind of like this little competition, you've got judges, and then the winner gets, I think it's $4,000 or something like that, to fund that idea and to test that thing. I love that idea. We haven't tried it yet, but I love it. So that's how you do the meeting blocks. So again, you kind of, the overarching agenda, we've got a template that you can use that you can follow. That's the structure of the days. Now, what about outside of the meetings? Well, there's a lot of things that we do to build team and to build camaraderie. So a lot of times we do an escape room. The team loves that. Escape rooms are a lot of fun. It's a great way to build team, build communication, things like that. So we often do that. We'll do grill outs. We'll do games. It's kind of all these things outside of the meetings that help build the team. So we've got meeting time usually from 8 to 5. If we can cut that down, we will. So one of our last offsites, we were in Cancun. So obviously we're very motivated to be tight with those meetings. So we're trying to get those meetings done 3, maybe 4. And then we're going in the ocean, we're going kayaking, we're going swimming. We had yoga one night. So we had an instructor come in, and now we've got yoga. We do a bunch of little touches like that to help the team feel valued. So like when our team shows up, a lot of times we'll do chair massages. So we'll have people there, so they're getting off the plane, they're getting a chair massage, kind of helps decompress, because it's full on. It's a full on few days, and anyone who knows me or has worked with me know that we don't mess around. We're moving quickly, but we want to get the stuff done. And this is kind of my all-in philosophy, which is I want to be all in, doing meetings, and then all off, having fun. So we'll get the meetings done, we'll go have fun, yoga, escape room, all those things. And then Saturday, that's that fun day. So this last time, I think we did zip lining, we did ATVs, we did all kinds of stuff like that. We've rented a pontoon and went out on the lake. That's the fun, full unplugged day. It's a great time to just build team, have fun, things like that. And then the next morning, first flight out, everyone goes home. So there you have it. That's kind of the overarching structure, meeting blocks, things like that. What about the prep? What do you need to have people do before they even show up? Well, for us, there's a couple of things that we have people do. So, this kind of depends on your team size, whether it's leadership team, full team, things like that. The minimal amount of prep necessary that helps achieve the objectives of the meetings. That should be your North Star. Because think about this, if you're having this offsite and you've got like a week and a half of prep, and then there's all this other stuff, like it's just killing efficiency in your business. So we try to, as a leadership team, take the brunt of the prep on ourselves. So do this so that we're kind of shielding our team from all this other stuff, so that they can truly do some prep and then show up and get the maximum effectiveness from this meeting, but without kind of throwing a hand grenade on the full week that leads up to the offsite. So a couple staples and things that we do almost every time. Number one is a start, stop, keep. So what should we start doing? What should we stop doing? What should we keep doing? And every employee answers those questions. Number two is what we call the Rockefeller Habits Survey. This is from Scaling Up or Mastering the Rockefeller Habits. They've got these 10 Rockefeller habits. So we have the whole team fill out this survey that kind of helps us understand, hey, where are we tracking on these different habits? What's one habit we need to improve? What's the trend line over the last 3-4 years? Things like that. And then thirdly, we have people read some sections of Scaling Up. So this is our business business Bible. This is kind of the operating system for our business. So we have people read certain sections that they need to read. And then that's kind of the core things that almost every time we have people do that. And then sometimes we'll have them do additional things. So depending on, one quarter, it was like, we really need to get the org chart dialed in. So I had everyone fill out a functional accountability chart, which is another thing from scaling up, and basically say, hey, who do you think is in charge of what? And that was a really funny exercise because we go through, it's like, who's in charge of marketing? You got like 3 different answers. Who is the CEO? Who is running sales? And you realize like the owner, or in this case me, my name was like on a bunch of them. Some of them didn't have an owner. So I had people do that in prep. And really that's because I wanted to drive home that point of, hey, we don't know who's doing what. We need to figure this out. And then that was one of the sessions that we did. Another time we were working on really connecting with our customers and better serving our customers. So we had our customer support reps write a letter from our customers. And it was the letter that they think they would have written based on everything that was going on at the time. And then we read those letters to the entire team. So little things like that we might add. Again, keep that to a minimum. Don't barrage your team with a ton of stuff that they need to do because either they won't do it or it'll be sloppy, or you're just going to hijack all the things that they should have been doing. And then now all of a sudden they're out of office for 7 to 10 days and your customers or the things in your business are suffering because of that big chunk of time that they're out of office. So that's it. That's the prep for your offsite. That's how you run an offsite. That's the purpose of your offsite, kind of everything that you need to set up for a successful offsite. So this is the framework. This is what we've done. This is what we've used. We've had, I don't even know how many offsites. We've continued to improve this, and months from now, this will be even better. So I'd love to hear from you. Comment below, how do you run your offsites? What's maybe your number one takeaway or number one thing that you're gonna apply from this video? That's number one. And then number two, what's something that you do if you run an offsite that's maybe a little bit different? So comment below, let me know. I'd love to hear your takeaways. We're always trying to improve kind of this process and how we run these offsites. So comment below right now, and then as always, click the subscribe button. Seriously, like right now, click the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.